The massive space station called Harmonious Unity floated in the darkness between stars. It was bigger than most moons and had been the center of galactic peace for 3,000 years. Today, alarm bells rang through its crystal corridors for the first time in centuries. Ambassador Veltara rushed through the halls on her 6 legs. Her blue skin glowed with worry as she entered the Great Council chamber. The room was huge, with seats for representatives from 17 different worlds. Each seat was designed for a different type of alien body. Some floated in water tanks, others hung from the ceiling, and a few stood on the floor like Veltara. High Mediator Quindos was already there. The ancient being looked like a cloud of silver light with eyes that had seen the rise and fall of many civilizations. Quindos had helped 47 different species join the galactic community peacefully. Never once had they failed to bring peace. "The situation is worse than we thought," Veltara said as she took her seat. Her voice was tight with fear. "The humans have established colonies in 12 star systems. 12. In less than 50 of their years. Other council members were arriving quickly. The Ethereal Collective sent 3 of their best diplomats. The crystal minds of Zenith Prime transmitted their consciousness into waiting robot bodies. Even the deep-sea dwellers of Aquatic 7 sent their spokesperson in a mobile water tank. Quindos spoke in a voice like distant thunder. "Show us the reports." The center of the room lit up with a 3-dimensional map of space. Red dots marked human colonies spreading like a disease across the galaxy. Yellow lines showed their trade routes. Green markers indicated their military bases. "Look at this." Veltara pointed to the map. "Every single human colony is heavily armed. Their civilian ships carry enough weapons to destroy most military vessels. Their mining equipment can be turned into planet-killing weapons in days." Council member Zixhara from the Peaceful Garden Worlds raised one of her flower-like arms. "Perhaps they are simply afraid. Many young species are warlike at first. We have always been able to guide them toward peace." "No," said another voice. "It belonged to Kethalon of the Harmony Seekers. His people had been warriors once, but the council had helped them find peace through art and meditation. I have studied their communications. They do not fight because they are afraid. They fight because they enjoy it. They sing songs about their wars. They tell stories about their battles to their children." The room fell silent. This was the most disturbing news of all. Quindos activated another display. "Their technology advancement is impossible by all known standards. Most species take 500 years to go from basic spaceflight to faster-than-light travel. The humans did it in less than 60 years. They skipped entire stages of development." "How?" asked several council members at once. "They shared knowledge freely between their nations. Instead of keeping secrets, they worked together when faced with outside threats. When they found the remains of the old predecessor ships in their system, they reverse-engineered the technology in just 10 years. Veltara's skin glowed brighter with agitation. "They have weapons we don't understand. Our scouts report they have developed kinetic cannons that fire metal rods at near light speed. They have bombs that can crack planets. They have ships that can become invisible to our sensors." An old council member named Harvest spoke up. "Surely they will listen to reason. Every species wants peace and prosperity. We offer them technology, beyond their dreams, eternal peace and membership in the greatest civilization the galaxy has ever known." "The reports suggest otherwise," Quindos said sadly. "Human history is filled with groups who chose to fight hopeless battles rather than surrender. They have a saying, 'Give me liberty or give me death.' They seem to mean it." The council chamber buzzed with worried conversations. In 3,000 years, no species had ever refused their offer of peace. The galaxy was organized perfectly. Each species had its place, its role, its level of technology. Wars were things of the ancient past. Every world was happy and peaceful. "What if they refuse our offer?" asked a young council member. The older members looked uncomfortable. It had been so long since anyone had refused that most had forgotten what happened to those who said no. Quindos's light dimmed. "The Kreth Empire refused us once. They were proud warriors who thought they could stand alone. Within 50 years, their warrior culture was gone. They became peaceful farmers. The martial clans of Vextar also refused. Now they spend their time making art and writing poetry. The savage kingdoms of Rothmek chose independence. Today they are known for their beautiful gardens and meditation retreats. So the sanctions work, Veltara said with relief. Yes, but those species were isolated in single-star systems. The humans already control 12 systems and are expanding rapidly. Sanctions might not work as quickly, and they have weapons that could threaten our peacekeeping forces. The council debated for hours. Some wanted to send a massive military fleet immediately. Others suggested waiting to see if the humans would contact them first. A few even suggested leaving the humans alone completely. Finally, Quindos called for silence. We will follow the traditional path. The peace envoys have never failed to bring a species into our community. We will send 3 of our greatest ships with our most experienced diplomats. We will offer the humans everything we have offered, every species before them. And if they refuse? Veltara asked. They will not refuse. No species has ever turned down our offer when they fully understand what we are giving them. The humans are young and aggressive, but they are not stupid. They will see that peace and prosperity are better than war and struggle. The vote was unanimous. 3 of the Council's most magnificent ships would travel to Earth. Each ship was the size of a small moon and powered by technologies that humans could not imagine. They would bring gifts of advanced science, promises of trade, and offers of friendship. The ships would also carry enough firepower to destroy the human homeworld if necessary, but everyone believed that would not be needed. It never was. As the council members left the chamber, Quindos remained behind, staring at the map of human space. For the first time in thousands of years, the ancient being felt something like fear. The humans were different from every other species they had encountered. They had achieved in decades what should have taken centuries. They had spread across multiple star systems while still fighting wars among themselves. They had technology that seemed to violate known laws of physics. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to prefer conflict over peace. Their entertainment was filled with stories of war and struggle. Their heroes were warriors and rebels, not peacemakers and diplomats. But surely, Quindos thought, when faced with the choice between certain destruction and peaceful prosperity, even humans would make the rational choice they had to. The alternative was unthinkable. 3 days later, the peace envoy fleet departed for Earth, confident that they would return with humanity's grateful acceptance of galactic citizenship. They had no idea that they were flying toward the first real challenge to galactic peace in 3 millennia. The 3 alien ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like small moons made of light. Each vessel was bigger than any city on Earth, their hulls gleaming with colors that had no names in any human language. They moved with impossible grace, creating beautiful patterns of light that could be seen even in daylight. Director Daeho Kim stood in the command center of Luna Base, watching the displays with calm eyes. Around him, dozens of technicians and military officers tracked every movement of the alien fleet. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of computers and the occasional whispered report. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," reported Communications Officer Lee. "Universal peace symbols, mathematical sequences, and what appears to be music. Any attempt to scan our defenses?" asked Admiral Sujin Park. She had arrived from the Outer System Fleet an hour ago, her uniform still showing the wrinkles of rapid travel. "Passive scans only," replied Sensor Chief Yoon. "They're being very polite, almost like they're following some kind of protocol." Dr. Haewon Lee looked up from her analysis station. As Earth's chief expert on alien contact scenarios, she had been preparing for this moment her entire career. The patterns match theoretical first contact procedures from the old academic papers. They're trying to show peaceful intentions. Director Kim nodded slowly. "And what does our protocol say we should do?" "Officially? Send a small diplomatic vessel to meet them and invite their representatives to Earth for formal talks," Dr. Lee replied. "Unofficially?" Admiral Park asked. "Unofficially, every war game simulation suggests that any species capable of building ships that size could destroy our entire civilization without breaking a sweat." Captain Jin Woo Choi entered the command center, still wearing his deep space combat armor. His ship had been patrolling the outer system when the aliens arrived. Director, our long-range scouts report that the alien ships have weapon systems we can't even identify, but they also don't have their shields up or weapons powered that we can detect, Admiral Park added grimly. Director Kim was quiet for a long moment. At 55, he had led Earth's United Defense Council through the colony wars and the resource conflicts. He had seen humanity at its best and worst. He knew that how they handled the next few hours would determine the future of the human race. Send the response, he finally said. Standard first contact protocols, but with modifications. We meet in neutral space, not on their ships or ours. Full diplomatic honors, but our ships remain armed and ready. Sir, that might be seen as hostile, Dr. Lee warned. Better to be seen as careful than to be seen as dead, Kim replied. 2 hours. Later, the human diplomatic fleet approached the meeting point halfway between Earth and the alien ships. The human fleet looked tiny compared to the massive alien vessels, but they moved with military precision. Each human ship bristled with weapons and sensor arrays. The lead alien ship, calling itself the Eternal Peace, had sent a small shuttle to the meeting point. It was still bigger than most human frigates, but it was clearly unarmed. The shuttle was beautiful, made of some kind of crystal that shifted colors in the starlight. Director Kim, Admiral Park, Dr. Lee, and Captain Choi boarded the human diplomatic vessel Unity's Pride. It was designed to look peaceful while hiding enough firepower to level a city. As they approached the meeting coordinates, everyone felt the weight of history. The alien shuttle opened like a flower, revealing a meeting chamber filled with soft light and comfortable seating. 3 aliens waited inside, each from a different species. One looked like a tall blue woman with too many arms. Another seemed to be made of living light. The third appeared to be some kind of plant-animal hybrid with gentle eyes. The blue alien stepped forward as the humans entered. Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Veltara of the Zephyrian Republic. This is High Mediator Quindos of the Ethereal Collective and Peaceful Speaker Zixhara of the Garden Worlds. We come in friendship and peace. Director Kim bowed, slightly. I am Director Daeho Kim, representing the United Earth Defense Council. These are Admiral Sujin Park, Dr. Haewon Lee, and Captain Jinwoo Choi. We welcome you to our solar system. The aliens seemed pleased by the formal greeting. Ambassador Veltara gestured to comfortable chairs that had somehow adjusted themselves to human anatomy. Please sit. We have much to discuss. We prefer to stand for now, Admiral Park said, politely but firmly. We hope you understand. The aliens exchanged quick glances. High Mediator Quindos spoke in a voice like distant music. Of course. We understand that first contact can be overwhelming. We have guided 47 species through this process. Each has its own customs. Dr. Lee stepped forward. 47 species? That's remarkable. How long has your civilization been traveling among the stars? The Galactic Council has maintained peace and prosperity for over 3,000 of your years, Peaceful Speaker Zixhara said proudly. We have eliminated war, poverty, and suffering from 17 worlds. It is our greatest achievement. Captain Choi's face remained neutral, but his hand moved closer to his sidearm. Eliminated war? How did you manage that? Through wisdom, friendship, and mutual cooperation, Ambassador Veltara explained. When species join our community, they receive advanced technology, unlimited trade opportunities, and protection from any threats. In return, they agree to follow the Universal Harmony Accords. What do these accords require? Director Kim asked. Nothing. Burdensome, High Mediator Quindos assured him. Members agree to limit military expansion, submit territorial disputes to council mediation, and accept technological guidelines that ensure galactic stability. Dr. Lee leaned forward with interest. Technological guidelines? Certain weapons and technologies are too dangerous for galactic peace, Ambassador Veltara explained. Planet killers, time manipulation devices, artificial intelligence above certain levels, and biological weapons are forbidden. But don't worry, Council technology is far superior to anything you would give up. The human delegation was quiet for a moment. Finally, Director Kim spoke. "This is a generous offer, but I'm curious about something. What happens to species who choose not to join your council?" The three aliens looked uncomfortable. Peaceful speaker, Sixhara's flower-like features drooped slightly. "It has been many centuries since any species chose isolation over community." "But it has happened?" Admiral Park pressed. "Yes," High Mediator Quindos admitted. "Some young species initially resist joining galactic civilization. They usually change their minds when they realize the benefits of cooperation and the costs of isolation." "What costs?" Captain Choi asked. "Well, isolated species cannot trade with council worlds," Ambassador Veltara explained. "They receive no technological assistance. They cannot call for help if threatened by natural disasters or hostile forces. Most realize that independence is not worth the price." Dr. Lee asked the question everyone was thinking. Has any species ever maintained their independence permanently? The aliens exchanged another look. "Not yet," High Mediator Quindos said softly. "Eventually, they all see the wisdom of joining our community." Director Kim nodded slowly. "I see. And what is your timeline for our decision?" "Take all the time you need," Ambassador Veltera said generously. "We suggest 30 of your days to consult with your world leaders. This is an important decision, and we want you to be completely comfortable with your choice." "We appreciate your patience," Director Kim replied. "We will need to discuss this offer with Earth's governments and our colony worlds." "Of course," High Mediator Quindos said. "We will wait in your outer system for your answer. We are confident that once you fully understand the benefits of galactic citizenship, you will make the right choice." As the meeting ended, and the humans returned to their ship, the aliens felt satisfied. The humans had asked the usual questions and shown the expected concerns. They seemed intelligent and reasonable. Surely they would make the obvious choice. But Admiral Park was already planning defensive strategies. Captain Choi was thinking about alien weaknesses, and Dr. Lee was wondering what had really happened to those species who had initially refused to join the council. Director Kim looked out at the three massive alien ships waiting patiently in Earth's outer system. They looked beautiful and peaceful, but he had learned long ago that the most dangerous enemies often appeared harmless at first. "Send word to all fleet commanders," he told Admiral Park. "Full mobilization, but keep it quiet. And get me everything our intelligence services can find about galactic civilization. I want to know what we're really dealing with." "You don't trust them?" Dr. Lee asked. "I don't trust anyone who claims they've eliminated war," Kim replied. "War is part of human nature. If they've really eliminated it, I want to know how and what they eliminated along with it." The war room deep beneath Luna Base had become the center of the most important intelligence operation in human history. Wall screens showed star maps, alien ship designs, and intercepts of galactic communications. Coffee cups and energy drink. Cans covered every surface, and nobody had slept more than a few hours in the past week. Colonel Sang-Min Yoon stood before the main display, pointing at a list of alien species. His intelligence teams had been working around the clock since the aliens arrived. "We've identified 12 species that definitely joined the Galactic Council in the past 1,000 years. The pattern is always the same." Director Kim, Admiral Park, and Dr. Lee gathered around the display. The information painted a disturbing picture. "Show us the Kreth Empire first," Kim said. "The Kreth were warriors," Colonel Yoon explained, bringing up historical data. "For 2,000 years they built an empire spanning 6 star systems. They had a warrior culture similar to ancient Sparta on Earth. Honor, strength, and martial skill were their highest values." "What happened after they joined the council?" Admiral Park asked. "Complete cultural transformation within 50 years. The warrior caste was gradually replaced by farmers and artists. Their weapons were collected for galactic safety. Their military academies became schools for conflict resolution. Today they're known galaxy-wide for growing the most beautiful flowers." Dr. Lee frowned. 50 years is very fast for that kind of cultural change. How did the council manage it? Professor Young-Soo Lim looked up from his research station. He had been studying galactic sociology for the past week, trying to understand how the Council operated. Economic incentives at first. The Council offered massive trade benefits to Kreth civilians who adopted peaceful professions. Warriors found themselves unable to buy food or equipment unless they retrained for civilian jobs. That's clever, Admiral Park admitted grudgingly. No violence, just economic pressure. It gets worse, Colonel Yoon continued. Look at the martial clans of Vextar. The display showed another warrior species, these looking like reptilian humanoids with natural armor. The Vextar were individualistic fighters. Each clan competed constantly to prove their strength. Their entire economy was based on combat sports and military service. Let me guess, Director Kim said. They became peaceful too? Peaceful meditation. Masters, Professor Lim confirmed. The Council introduced new educational programs that emphasized inner peace over physical conflict. Within 3 generations, the Vextar military traditions were replaced by spiritual practices. They now spend most of their time in meditation retreats. Captain Mi Young Kwan entered the war room, still wearing her stealth reconnaissance suit. Her ship had just returned from a dangerous mission to observe one of the Council worlds directly. Director, I have visual confirmation of the Kreth homeworld. The main screen changed to show a planet covered in vast agricultural fields and artistic monuments. Cities were small and peaceful, with no defensive structures visible anywhere. It's beautiful, Dr. Lee admitted. And completely defenseless, Captain Kwan added. No military installations, no weapons factories, no training facilities. I detected maybe 1,000 armed police for a population of 2 billion. A single human frigate could conquer that entire world. Colonel Yoon brought up the next case study. The savage kingdoms of Rothmek were the most interesting case. They actually fought the Council's initial diplomatic efforts. Finally, someone with backbone, Admiral Park muttered. For about 10 years, Professor Lim said sadly. The Council didn't attack them directly. Instead, they offered massive rewards to any Rothmek who would join peace academies on neutral worlds. Young Rothmek warriors were invited to compete in galactic games where violence was replaced by artistic expression. Cultural warfare, Director Kim realized. They didn't destroy the warrior culture, they seduced it away. Exactly. Within 20 years, the best and brightest young Rothmek were leaving their homeworld for Council space. The ones who stayed were considered backwards and primitive. The warrior culture collapsed from brain drain. Engineer Boram Shin approached from her technical analysis station. She had been studying the alien technology demonstrated during the first contact meeting. Director, I've found something disturbing about the Council's technology gifts. Show us, Kim ordered. Engineer Shin activated a holographic display showing alien device schematics. I analyzed the technical data they shared during first contact. Every piece of technology has built-in limitations. The faster-than-light drives can only jump to predetermined coordinates. The energy weapons have maximum power settings that can't be overridden. The manufacturing systems can only produce items from approved templates. So they're not really sharing their technology, Admiral Park said. They're sharing limited versions they can control. It's worse than that, Engineer, Shin continued. Look at this. The display showed communication frequencies and data protocols. All Council technology requires constant communication with central servers. If a species is cut off from the galactic network, their Council-provided technology stops working. Dr. Lee paled. That means any species that joins the Council becomes completely dependent on them for basic technology. Captain Kwan had more bad news. My reconnaissance missions to the other Council worlds confirmed it. Every single member species is using Council technology exclusively. They've abandoned their own research and development. Some species haven't invented anything new in centuries. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Galactic Council's offer wasn't partnership. It was a sophisticated system of control that eliminated the ability to resist through economic dependence, cultural manipulation, and technological addiction. Colonel Yoon brought up the final piece of the puzzle. We found records of 3 species that completely refused to join the Council. What happened to them? Director Kim asked, though he suspected he already knew. the hegemony of Thane, the Free Worlds Alliance, and the Star Wanderer tribes. All three disappeared from galactic history within 100 years of refusing council membership. Disappeared how? Professor Lim checked his notes. Official council records claim they all destroyed themselves through war or environmental disasters. But the timing is suspiciously convenient, and survivor refugees sometimes mention enforcement fleets in their stories. Captain Choi had been quiet throughout the briefing, but now he spoke up. So the council has a pattern. First they offer partnership, then they apply economic pressure. If that doesn't work, they corrupt the culture from within, and if a species still refuses, they disappear, Admiral Park finished, leaving no trace except official council records claiming it was all very tragic and unavoidable. Director Kim walked to the main display and stared at the star map showing human colonies. 12 systems, each with growing populations and expanding infrastructure. Humanity was stronger than any species the Council had faced before, but they were also more spread out and potentially vulnerable. What's our timeline? He asked Colonel Yoon. Based on the historical pattern, we have maybe 5 years before economic sanctions become severe enough to cause real problems. The cultural corruption could start immediately if we let council representatives establish permanent embassies. And if we formally refuse their offer, they'll try to eliminate us like the others, Kim concluded. Engineer Shin had one more piece of bad news. Director, I've been analyzing the alien ships still waiting in our outer system. Their technology is more advanced than ours, but not impossibly so. The real problem is their size. Each ship probably carries enough firepower to sterilize Earth's surface. Probably, Admiral Park asked. I can't get detailed scans without alerting them, but based on energy readings and hull mass, each ship could destroy our entire space fleet single-handedly. The war room was quiet for a long moment. Everyone understood the situation. The Galactic Council's offer was really an ultimatum. Join, willingly or be forced to join. Refusal meant eventual extinction. Acceptance meant the slow death of everything that made humanity unique. Director Kim looked around the room at the tired faces of Earth's best and brightest. These people had worked day and night to uncover the truth about galactic civilization. What they had found was terrifying. Ladies and gentlemen, he said quietly, we have 18 days left to give the Council our answer. Based on what we've learned, we have 3 choices. We can join the Council and slowly lose everything that makes us human. We can refuse and face eventual destruction. Or, Professor Lim asked. Or we find a 4th option that nobody in galactic history has ever tried before. Admiral Park smiled grimly. What did you have in mind? Something the Council has never encountered, Director Kim replied. A species that refuses their offer and has the power to make that refusal stick. The room erupted in discussions as military officers and scientists began planning for the impossible. Somewhere in the outer system, 3 alien ships waited patiently for humanity's answer, confident that it would be the same answer every other species had eventually given. They had no idea that humanity was preparing to give them a response that would shock the galaxy. 30 days had passed since the aliens arrived. The 3 massive council ships waited patiently at the edge of the solar system, their crews confident that humanity would make the obvious choice. After all, every species eventually chose prosperity over poverty, peace over war, cooperation over isolation. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The meeting point was the same neutral location where first contact had occurred a month ago. But this time, when the alien shuttle arrived, they found something that had never happened before in 3,000 years of galactic diplomacy. The entire human fleet was there. Over 3,000 ships surrounded the meeting point in perfect formation. Massive dreadnoughts bristled with weapons that could crack moons. Fast attack craft moved in coordinated swarms like schools of metal fish. Heavy cruisers powered their engines in synchronized displays of force. At the center of it all, the flagship Indomitable Spirit hung like a steel cathedral in space. Ambassador Veltara stared through the shuttle's viewing ports in shock. This is impossible. Where did they get so many ships? High Mediator Quindos's light dimmed with worry. Our scouts reported that humans had maybe 500 military vessels total. This fleet is 6 times larger than their entire known military. Peaceful, Speaker Zixhara's flower-like features drooped with fear. They've been building ships in secret, building them for war. The human fleet made no threatening moves, but the sheer size and obvious military nature of the gathering sent a clear message. This was not the response the Council had expected from a species asking to join galactic civilization. A communication came from the human flagship. Council representatives, this is Admiral Tae-Hyun Oh of the United Earth Defense Fleet. Minister, Dongwook-nam is prepared to deliver humanity's formal response to your offer. Please prepare to receive our diplomatic shuttle. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. In all their experience, diplomatic responses were delivered in quiet meeting rooms with small ceremonial guards. They had never seen an entire military fleet assembled for a diplomatic message. The human shuttle that approached was sleek and obviously military, though it carried diplomatic markings. It docked with the alien vessel with precise efficiency, and 3 humans in formal diplomatic dress entered the meeting chamber. Minister Nam was a tall man with graying hair and calm eyes that had seen decades of political negotiations. He was flanked by General Yoon Ji-han, whose military bearing and numerous decorations spoke of extensive combat experience, and Admiral Kyung-soo Jang, whose uniform bore insignia the aliens didn't recognize but which somehow suggested vast authority. Ambassador Veltara, High Mediator Quindos, Peaceful Speaker Zixhara, Minister Nam said with perfect diplomatic courtesy. Thank you for your patience during our deliberation period. Earth's governments and colony worlds have carefully considered your generous offer. The aliens relaxed slightly. This sounded like the beginning of acceptance speeches they had heard dozens of times before. We are honored by your invitation to join the Galactic Council, Minister Nam continued. Your offer of advanced technology, trade partnerships, and galactic citizenship is indeed generous. Ambassador Veltara began to smile. We are pleased that you recognize the benefits of joining our community. However, Minister Nam said, and that single word seemed to suck all the warmth out of the room. After careful consideration, humanity must respectfully decline your offer. The silence that followed was absolute. The 3 aliens stared at the human minister as if he had spoken in an unknown language. In their thousands of years of experience, no species had ever simply refused the Council's offer. High Mediator, Quindos was the first to recover. I'm sorry, Minister Nam, but did you say decline? Perhaps there has been some translation error. No translation error, Minister Nam replied calmly. Humanity chooses to remain independent. We will continue our expansion into unclaimed space, maintain our own technological development, and govern ourselves according to our own laws and customs. Peaceful Speaker, Zixhara's features flushed with distress. But Minister, you don't understand the implications of isolation. Without Council membership, you will have no trade partners, no technological assistance, no protection from cosmic threats. General Han spoke for the first time, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded armies. We appreciate your concern, but humanity has faced cosmic threats before. We prefer to handle our own problems. Ambassador Veltara tried a different approach. Minister Nam, perhaps you need more time to consider. The benefits of Council membership are enormous. Your people could have lives of peace and prosperity beyond imagination. At what cost? Admiral Jang asked quietly. The question seemed to confuse the aliens. Cost? There is no cost. Only the simple requirement to follow galactic law and maintain peaceful relations with Council worlds. And surrender our military independence, General Han added, and accept technological limitations, Admiral Jang continued, and submit to Council authority in all matters of interstellar policy, Minister Nam finished. The aliens looked uncomfortable. These humans had clearly done their research and understood exactly what Council membership required. High Mediator Quindos tried to explain. These requirements exist for the good of all galactic civilization. War, unrestricted weapons development, and aggressive expansion lead only to suffering. We have eliminated these sources of conflict. You have eliminated the freedom to choose. Minister Nam replied. Humanity values that freedom more than safety. Ambassador Veltara's skin was now glowing bright blue with agitation. Minister Nam, I must warn you about the consequences of refusing council membership. Isolated species face enormous challenges: economic problems, technological stagnation, eventual decline. History shows that independence is not sustainable in the long term. We've studied that history, General Han said. We know what happened to the species that refused your offer. The aliens went very still. They had not expected humans to investigate council records so thoroughly. Peaceful speaker Zixhara tried one last diplomatic approach. Surely we can find some compromise. Perhaps associate membership with limited obligations? No, Minister Nam said simply. Any agreement that limits humanity's right to expand, develop weapons, or govern ourselves is unacceptable. We choose complete independence. The formal part of the meeting was over, but Admiral Zhang had one more thing to say. We want to be very clear about something. Humanity rejects the Council's authority entirely. We will continue our expansion, maintain our military forces, and develop whatever technology we choose. Any attempt to enforce Council law on human space will be considered an act of war. The aliens stared in shock. No species had ever threatened the Council before. Ambassador Veltara found her voice first. Admiral, you cannot possibly understand what you're saying. The Council has maintained galactic peace for 3 millennia. We have resources and capabilities beyond your comprehension. Let us show you what's beyond your comprehension, Admiral Zhang replied. He activated a communication device, and suddenly the space around the meeting point lit up with weapons fire. The human fleet had begun a demonstration of their newest military technology. Streams of antimatter torpedoes created brief suns in the darkness. Quantum disruptors tore holes in space itself. And then came something the aliens had never seen before. Kinetic projectiles accelerated to near light speed by human-built magnetic launchers. The projectiles struck a series of target asteroids that the humans had positioned for the demonstration. The impacts released energy equivalent to nuclear weapons, but using nothing more than metal rods and human engineering. Impossible, whispered High Mediator Quindos. How do you accelerate matter to those speeds without destroying it? Human innovation, General Han said proudly. We don't follow your technology restrictions because we're not members of your council. The demonstration continued for 10 minutes. The aliens watched in growing horror as humanity displayed weapons that bypassed every defense system known to galactic civilization. The kinetic weapons alone could penetrate council ship shields as if they didn't exist. When the demonstration ended, Minister Nam spoke again. This concludes our formal response to your offer. We appreciate your time and wish the Council well in its future endeavors. However, we suggest that your ships leave human space within the next 24 hours. Ambassador Veltara was too shocked to speak. High Mediator Quindos flickered with patterns of light that suggested extreme distress. Peaceful speaker Zixhara had actually started to wilt. You're making a terrible mistake, Ambassador Veltara finally managed. The Council cannot allow this precedent. Other species might get similar ideas. That, said Admiral Zhang with a cold smile, is exactly what we're hoping for. As the human delegation prepared to leave, Minister Nam delivered one final message. Please inform the Council that humanity is willing to establish trade relations and diplomatic contact with individual member species, but any attempt to impose Council authority on human space will be met with immediate military response. The alien shuttle departed in stunned silence, carrying the most shocking news in galactic history back to the 3 Council ships. For the first time in 3,000 years, a species had not just refused to join the Council. 6 months had passed since humanity delivered their terrifying answer to the Galactic Council. The ancient space station, Harmonious Unity, no longer lived up to its name. Emergency sessions had been called every week as the carefully maintained Order of 3 millennia began to crack. High Mediator Quindos stood before the assembled council members, their light dimmed with exhaustion. In all their thousands of years of existence, they had never faced a crisis like this one. The situation continues to deteriorate, Quindos announced to the council chamber. 12 species have now requested meetings to discuss alternative arrangements to full council membership. The Zephyrian Republic has withdrawn from 2 recent council votes. Even some of our oldest members are questioning policies they accepted centuries ago. Ambassador Veltara's blue skin had lost much of its usual glow. It's all because of the humans. Their refusal to join has given other species ideas about independence, ideas that should have died out long ago. Council member Kethlon raised a trembling arm. His people, the former warriors turned peaceful artists, had been among the most disturbed by recent events. Our young ones are asking questions. They want to know why humans can choose war while we must choose peace. They ask why humans can develop new weapons while we cannot. We don't know how to answer. The answer is simple, said a harsh voice from the corner of the chamber. Council member Wartek of the Enforcement Division rarely spoke in council sessions, but when he did, others listened. The humans are a threat to galactic stability. They must be brought into compliance or eliminated. The chamber erupted in worried murmurs. The Enforcement Division had not been used in over 1,000 years. Their very existence was barely remembered by most council members. Peaceful speaker. Zixhara's flower-like features drooped with distress. Surely violence is not necessary. Perhaps we can find a compromise. There is no compromise with chaos, Wartek replied coldly. The humans have rejected every principle of galactic civilization. They celebrate war, develop prohibited weapons, and encourage other species to rebel against rightful authority. They are a plague that must be contained. High Mediator Quindos flickered with uncertainty. What are you proposing? Full military intervention. A joint council fleet to blockade human space and force compliance. If they resist, we destroy their military capacity and occupy their worlds until they accept proper guidance. The ancient chamber fell silent. Most council members had never heard such language in their lifetimes. War was a concept from the distant past, something their ancestors had eliminated through wisdom and cooperation. Ambassador Veltara broke the silence. War tech. The humans have weapons we don't understand. Their demonstration showed kinetic projectiles that can penetrate our best shields. A military confrontation could result in significant casualties. Then we develop countermeasures, Wartek replied. The Enforcement Division has been analyzing human technology. We can adapt our defenses and bring overwhelming force to bear. No single species can stand against the combined might of 17 worlds. But even as the Council debated military options, the galaxy was changing around them. In human space, a very different kind of meeting was taking place. The conference room aboard the human space station New Geneva was filled with representatives from 6 different species. They had come in secret, using diplomatic covers and hidden routes to avoid council detection. Each one risked exile or worse by being here. Fleet Admiral Kyung-Soo Jang stood at the head of the conference table, looking at the diverse group of beings who had answered humanity's call. There was Ambassador Jihai Seo, Earth's new diplomatic representative to non-council space. Beside her sat 3 young Zephyrians, who had abandoned their homeworld rather than accept continued council control. A pair of Kreth farmers who still remembered their warrior heritage had made the dangerous journey from their peaceful agricultural world. Even 2 Vextar meditation masters had come, drawn by curiosity about the species that had chosen conflict over peace. Thank you all for coming, Admiral Zhang began. I know this meeting represents a great risk for each of you. One of the young Zephyrians, who called himself Free Sky, spoke up. The risk is worth it. My generation was raised to believe that council membership was the only way to survive in the galaxy, but you humans have shown us another path. The older Kreth farmer, whose name translated to Ironheart, clenched his fists. My people were warriors once. We conquered 6 star systems with honor and strength. Now we grow flowers and write poetry about peaceful meadows. The young ones don't even remember what we used to be. They could remember, Ambassador Seo said gently. Cultures can be revived, traditions can be restored, but only if there's an alternative to council control. The Vextar meditation master called Bright Flame seemed troubled. War brings suffering. The Council has eliminated suffering from our worlds. How do you reconcile this contradiction? Admiral Jang had been expecting this question. We don't believe that eliminating the possibility of conflict eliminates suffering. We believe it eliminates the possibility of growth, achievement, and meaningful choice. A life without the possibility of failure is also a life without the possibility of true success. The second Vextar, Deep Current, leaned forward with interest. Explain this philosophy. On Earth, we have a saying. Admiral Jang replied. It is better to die on your feet than live on your knees. The Council offers eternal safety at the cost of eternal childhood. We prefer the risks of adulthood. Free Sky spoke again. What are you offering us? What alternative exists to Council membership? Ambassador. SEO activated a holographic display showing a star map. The Independent Worlds Alliance, a loose confederation of species who choose to govern themselves while maintaining trade and mutual defense agreements. No species controls another. No central authority dictates technology limits or cultural development. And if the Council tries to force us back? Ironheart asked. Admiral Jang smiled grimly. Then they face the combined military might of every species that chooses freedom over security. Humans are not the only ones who can fight. The meeting continued for hours. As the foundation of a new galactic order was laid, it would not be based on enforced peace and controlled development. Instead, it would be built on voluntary cooperation between independent peoples who chose their own destinies. Meanwhile, back on Harmonious Unity, the Galactic Council faced a crisis they could not solve with their traditional methods. Wartech's Enforcement Division was preparing for military action, but preliminary war games showed disturbing results. Human weapons technology had advanced beyond Council countermeasures, and any conflict would be costly and uncertain. Worse, intelligence reports suggested that other species were already beginning to rebel. Young Zephyrians were disappearing from their homeworlds. Kreth farmers were asking questions about their ancestors' warrior traditions. Even peaceful garden worlds were reporting unusual levels of unrest among their populations. 3 days later, the Council received a formal communication from human space that made their situation even more desperate. It was delivered by a small human diplomatic vessel that arrived at the edge of Council space broadcasting universal peace symbols. President Inho Bayek of the United Earth Government addressed the Council directly via holographic transmission. To the honored members of the Galactic Council, humanity formally announces the establishment of the Independent Worlds Alliance. Membership is open to any species that chooses self-governance over external control. The Council chamber erupted in outrage, but President Bayek continued calmly. We extend an invitation to any Council worlds that wish to reconsider their membership status. We also announce our intention to establish trade relations with individual Council species, regardless of their government's position. High Mediator. Quindos managed to respond. President Beck, you are encouraging rebellion against lawful galactic authority. This cannot be tolerated. We are offering choice where none existed before, President Beck replied. That is not rebellion. That is evolution. The transmission ended, leaving the Council to contemplate an impossible situation. They could not force humanity to comply without risking a war they might not win. They could not ignore humanity's challenge without encouraging further rebellion. And they could not maintain their authority if species began choosing independence over security. 1 year after first contact, the galaxy had indeed changed forever. The Independent Worlds Alliance grew stronger each month as more species chose the risks of freedom over the safety of control. Human technology and military doctrine spread through the rebel worlds, creating a loose confederation that could defend itself against Council enforcement. Fleet Admiral Kyung-Soo Jang stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Spirit, watching as the first joint military exercise between human and Zephyrian forces concluded successfully. Beside him, Ambassador Ji Hyaseo reviewed reports from 12 worlds that had formally requested alliance membership. The Council still hasn't decided whether to fight us, Admiral Jang observed. I don't think they can. Ambassador Seo replied. They've spent so long eliminating conflict that they've forgotten how to wage war effectively, and their member species are asking too many uncomfortable questions.